Hey guys, welcome back to Marriage is Restored in Faith. My name is Ray.
Hey guys, my name is Dora. It is January 15th, 2025, Wednesday, midweek, and it got pretty warm today.
It sure did, but in other places I've heard it's in negative temperatures and single digits. Some people have been getting snow. Me, myself, I enjoy snow. I just don't enjoy the drivers in the snow.
No.
But I don't mind snow. I really don't. Why? Because you can just stay indoors. I mean, unless you're working outside, then, I mean,
And usually that's what happens. He is working.
I'm working in the shop, so
Yeah.
I have to deal with the cold. But guys, thanks for being here. And as you see the title, we have been lied to. You may say, what do you mean? Well, there's a lot that we've been lied to. And we are constantly being lied to as we speak right now. My question will be to everyone that is watching. When you are revealed, the truth is revealed to you, what do you do with it? That's a question for each and every one of us. What do we do when the truth is revealed to us?
Mhm.
Do we get upset? Do we get angry at the person revealing the truth? What happens? People get upset at the person revealing the truth. Instead of saying, wait a minute, let me back up and okay, now that you revealed this truth, what am I going to do with it? Am I going to change my mind and say, okay, now this is the truth, so now I'm awake, and what am I going to do next? That is a question a lot of us are going to be asking ourselves from here on out, because there's going to be a lot of exposure, a lot of revealing of how we've been lied to for years and years, including our great grandparents
Yes.
and great grandparents and so on. Generation to generation, we have been lied to. There's that term that me and Dora actually had heard one time, where somebody had this woman had said that she had what was it that she cut? She baked.
Yeah, Ray always reminds me of that, and I tend to forget. But she had this recipe that it had been passed down generation to generation, and she was teaching it to her daughter and her granddaughter. So it was how to make a certain type of bread, a loaf of bread. So
Was it not? No, it was either turkey, ham, or something like that. That she would.
Okay, then I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, it wasn't a type of loaf of bread. It was a type of it was turkey or ham or something that what she would do. She would cut it in order for to bake it, and she was asked, and I'm trying to think what it was. And later on, her actual daughter asked her, "Mom, why do we do this?"
Why? Yeah, why do we do it this way?
And she said, "I don't know. We're just gonna have to ask my mom," which is her grandmother now. So whenever they got to meet her, she asked, why are we doing this? And she said, well, because at the time I had a small pan, and not the entire turkey or the ham, whatever it was that she was cooking didn't fit. So she had to cut off portions off of it and then cook it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I have to go back and remember what that was. But we think like that, and we never ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And we continue to do something just because it was passed down from generation to generation,
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to stay lost, blinded, deceived.
Right.
And that's what you're going to see today. We're going to play, it's a 9-minute video, and we really, really want you to see this 9-minute video. And you're going to see that in today's, there's treatments that doctors give that all of us have been programmed to believe that the doctor is always right.
Well,
that has the best interest for
correct. And not only that, but that's the only way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
When all you have to do is ask. All you have to do is ask and say, well, I don't want to do it this way, or I don't want to have this procedure because of whatsoever. I don't want that, to be in my body or however. And talk to the doctor, and the doctor can come back and say, well, that's okay. We can go at another way, and we can figure out another type of, test that I can give you that can give me some results. It might not give me the results I'm looking for with this test, but it can give me some answers too.
In fact, we asked a nurse why she was doing something a certain way. She said, I don't know. That's just what I was taught. And I never thought to ask.
She's like, good question. That's a good question to,
I mean, just think about that. Yeah, I mean, it's not her fault, but we as society have been programmed not to question. I mean, just think of it. All these false prophets and false pastors and teachers that are out there, the false ones, what do? Tell you not to question them.
Yeah.
Because then it's exposed. So that's what we're going to show you today, that for you to see for yourself from good doctors that decided, you know what, it's time for us to speak up. It's like when I went to the police academy. You go through everything that they train you in there. And then the minute you get to the first officer that's going to train you on the street, the first thing he tells you, I mean, it always happens. The first thing he tells you, everything that you learn in the academy, throw it away. It'll get you killed. Don't use it. Why? Because it's politics to teach them a certain way to do certain things that will get you killed. Oh, yeah. And then since I was doing law enforcement, I started telling the people, the same guys that got out of the academy, I said, what you have been taught in the police academy, throw it away. It doesn't work. It's going to get you killed. And it's so true. Well, that's in society today and everything that we do. You go visit a doctor and a doctor says, well, we're going to do this. And if you don't ask questions, what are you going to put in my body to test certain things? What is it? Why do I have to take all these pills? In fact, I know some people that take medication Monday through Sunday from morning, lunchtime, midday, evening, and then nighttime.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they never asked the question, why am I taking all this? But it's medication that has to go over another medication and then covers the side effects from the other medication and so on. So let's get straight to it. Let me show you, if you can give me number 4, before we get to the actual video. The video is 9 minutes long, so just bear with us and you're going to see some stuff. And it might get you angry, it might get you upset, but this is so true. And what we're going to show you, it's going to go with what 2025 is. Now that we're in 2025, I'll show you that here in a second. But let me share this video first.
However you want.
Yeah, walk it in.
I'm ready.
Tell me when.
When?
Oh.
Not everybody's going to carry a lighter, but it's just a joke that they wanted to do. And poor guy got burnt. I mean, he's the guinea pig. I would have said, no, I don't want to be the one that getting burnt. Let me show you if you can give me number 5. And again, this is going to go with what we are about to discuss. These are one of the things. In fact, as soon as she gets that up, then I'll show you this document. But go ahead and give me that video first.
You mean book?
Or, yeah, it's a book, I guess, yeah. I guess when we get a second, I guess I should have showed you the document then. Go ahead.
He's an undocumented immigrant who'd been living at that state-run shelter for months, but hadn't himself applied to stay there. Police seizing a high-powered weapon and 10 pounds of fentanyl at a state shelter for homeless and migrant families in Revere. Now the governor says the undocumented immigrant accused in the case never applied to be in the emergency shelter system.
He's not part of the EA program. He was in that shelter, though.
28-year-old Leonardo Sanchez of the Dominican Republic is accused of the drug and weapons charges. The state says he's been staying in the Revere shelter with family since October 15th. The The governor now ordering shelter inspections.
The inspections are going to be done at the sites, and there'll be room inspections, and we'll work to make sure that they're done lawfully.
Governor Healy has also filed a bill asking for $425 million to fund the emergency shelter system. The money would come from a reserve fund. Funding for the system is set to run out January 31st. The Mass GOP says lawmakers should put more reforms in place before pouring in any more money.
These shelters are certainly not safe for our communities, and there needs to be fundamental reforms.
House and Senate leaders say they're reviewing the bill. The
You can
governor
go
says she's
and
already
review it and just stop it where the picture is of everything that they located. And I want you to look at all that they found, including thousands of dollars. I believe it was $250,000
In the shelter.
in the shelter. This is in the shelter. Imagine in these houses where these people are at, in these homes, in these apartment complexes. This is what they found, and one illegal. And it tells you undocumented, illegal. So think about this. If he has this, what do you think he's doing? This is just one of millions that have come across.
Yes.
And why do you think they brought him across? But then you heard the governor say, well, we need this amount of money, which she requests millions of dollars. We don't have the money any longer. United States is flat broke. We are, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole different subject. So let me share this with you. And then I'll give you if we can get number 2 ready. But I want you to see this. This right here is the population 2030. This is a document that you can get online. You can Google it. It's I believe 60 pages, and it actually breaks down the depopulation from the West. The depopulation, and this was written, and as you can see on the bottom, it was written in 2015. We are in 2025 now. 10 years. And this document specifically tells you how they're going to depopulate the population. Oh yeah. How they're going to kill off millions of people in 2025. We just started. We're just in 2.5 weeks in
15 days.
of January. And you see everything that's going on. And this is what they are bragging. Okay, this is what the false prophets in the Christian community, the false prophets, call these people the false prophets. Well, these people are working for Satan. And these people are discussing what they're going to do. Now, does it mean that they're going to be successful? That's going to be up to the Lord. The Lord decides if they're successful or not. It's his plan of what's going to be fulfilled and what's not going to be fulfilled. It could mean that the Lord says, you know what, 2025, the rapture, and I'm not giving dates. Calm down. He says 2025 is done because they're about to do a mass depopulation. And they don't have to do a depopulation because a lot of Christians leave. And now it's chaotic. But again, you can look this up, and it goes in detail of how they're going to do it. It's already being played out. It is being played out by famines, which they have to kill off crops, they have to kill off cattle, they have to kill off chickens, and you hear all that's going on.
Yes, and then
It's here.
and then all the natural disaster stuff, that's
Which we know they're
happening.
not natural, but they call them natural, yeah.
Right. Because like we said before in our previous videos, that that causes a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all the wildfires, of all the hurricanes, of everything that you see going around the world, all of that has an effect on everything else. All the consumer, the product making. I mean, it's just a ripple effect.
Yeah, just pull up number 2. Yeah, just like Doris said, what happens in the West Coast affects the East Coast. What happens in the East Coast affects the West Coast. What happens on either side affects the center of the United States as well. It for everyone, because you have vegetables, you have fruits, you have produce that is being produced in a certain section, a certain area of the United States that is traveled to the next area of the United States. You have stuff that's coming in ships, but then if it's wiped out in California continue. But look at this. Kohl's to close 27 underperforming stores by April 2025. I don't shop at Kohl's. So, I mean, but just think about all the employees that are going to lose work, their jobs. So now they can't feed their families, so they have to go somewhere else. Think of all the clothing, even though I don't shop there, but there's other people that purchase clothes from there. So where are they going to get their clothes from?
Yes.
I'm telling you, it's a major ripple effect. And there's major restaurants that are closing. There's, in fact, did you hear that Elon Musk bragged about making the robots to take over mass employees that are employees are going to be out of jobs because it's more production out of a robot than that is a human, which is true. But what do you think a ripple effect is that going to take on the masses? So I want to share this with you. So now let's get straight to the video. Again, bear with us and we'll see if YouTube doesn't get upset or if Facebook doesn't get upset. But we're going to go ahead and play this. If you can give me number one. And I just want you to listen to it. I believe we're going to play the whole 9 minutes. I may stop it here and there so we can have a small discussion so you can see what is happening. Go ahead.
The genetic COVID-19 genetic, we must acknowledge that the genetic COVID-19 genetic injections cause far more harm than good and provide zero benefit relative to risk for the young and healthy. They do not reduce COVID-19 infection, which is treatable and not terminal. Furthermore, the most recent data demonstrates that you are more likely to become infected or have disease or even death if you've been vaccinated compared to the unvaccinated people. This is shocking to hear, but it is what the data are showing us. The data now show that these experimental gene therapy treatments can damage your children as well as yourself. They can damage your heart, your brain, your reproductive tissue, and your lungs. This can include permanent damage and disablement of your immune system.
Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunization before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market. And from that point of view, we had to do everything at risk.
Do you hear that? How she said we had to move at the speed of science? When have we ever heard that science has a speed so per se fast speed?
Right.
Science has always been slow. There's always test after test after test, and then when they find something else and they say, okay, we got to test this, we got to see the results from this, we got to see the side effects of this, then we have to test it over here, and it's a slow process. It's not a fast paced process, but the way she makes it sound, oh, we have to move at the speed of science like it's something real fast. No, it's an entire agenda. And again, you can look this up and you can see this, that was part of the agenda in here, what we're showing you on here. And this was in 2015. 2015. When did that happen? 2020. The depopulation is in here. You can look up this document. I'm telling you, you can see it for yourself. I highly recommend that you see it for yourself. But let's go back to the video.
I really do believe that the federal government is captured, and it's captured by corporate interests. The entire U.S. population, as well as the world, has to understand they can no longer take these COVID vaccines. They are toxic and lethal and ineffective, that they have completely failed. They can only be viewed as harmful and they need to be stopped.
And does it damage the brain? You bet it does. Does it damage the heart? Yes. The liver? Yes. The bone marrow? Yes. It causes all sorts of harm in the human body. We should have stopped this before it ever started.
It's a misinformation from the CDC, the FDA, the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology, the American College of OBGYN, the Society of Maternal Fetal Medicine. It's a misinformation from those organizations that is causing a lot of death and injury in my women of reproductive age, my pregnant women, and my preborn babies. And it's got to stop, and it's got to stop now.
And for the vaccines broadly, we have no idea.
Okay, and here it also predicts, this is funny, in this document, take off there, just leave it there. In this document, it predicts, and I'm not laughing because of what's happening, I'm laughing because it's out there and people are not believing it. And that's the sad part. In this document, it predicts that in 2025, that the birth rate is going to go down. You just heard what he said, the fertility. Mm-hmm. That it's affecting the women. It's affecting the men. This was posted in 2015. Before this came out, it was all planned. We were all lied to about the jab, about taking it. We were so against it, and we warned so many people, but of course we got scolded so much. But go ahead, let's keep going.
The body. Studies suggest that the vaccines and the spike protein that's produced from them never leaves the human body.
The first and most important thing, don't take any more vaccines. Don't take any more boosters. Do not take any more of these dangerous experimental therapies.
Dear colleagues and supporters, we declare that Pfizer, Moderna, BioNTech, Janssen, and AstraZeneca and their enablers willfully withheld and omitted crucial safety and effectiveness information from patients and physicians and should be immediately indicted for fraud. We know that shortly after administration of these products, thousands of people have died. And although correlation isn't causation, reasonable criterion have been applied to examine the relationship between injections and the events, and it's absolutely clear-cut that these are the cause of death. Mechanistically, the design of these products was knowingly deficient in a number of ways. First, they caused the expression in the human body of toxic virus spike protein. Unlike what they told us that it would stay in the injection site, they distribute widely around the body. There is no built-in limit to the amount of toxic spike protein that can be made or for how long it is made. And that's the cause of the toxicity. Turning to the clinical trials, there is evidence of questionable practices all around. For example, several of the studies were clearly unblinded while they were ongoing, contrary to best practice. And also, in a number of cases, subjects were removed from the database prior to statistical analysis in a way that is suggestive of fraud. We were given blanket assurances time and again by all of the companies about the benign safety profile of their products. Even as the products rolled out in the earliest weeks, they must have known this was not true. To add insult to injury, it appears that these products provide little or no protection from the virus that they sought to protect us from.
Two questions get asked when people have hesitancy or reluctance to get vaccinated. Did you go too quickly? Is the first. The answer to that is the speed was a reflection of extraordinary scientific advances and did not compromise safety, nor did it compromise scientific integrity. The next question is, okay, but what about the fact, is it really safe and is it really effective? Or is this something the government is trying to put over on us Is this something the companies want to take advantage of? Well, let's take a look at what's happened over the past few months.
I'm going to be very clear about this, and I've recently just testified in the U.S. Senate, December 7th, 2022. The vaccine is killing people and is killing large numbers of people. It fulfills all the criteria for the Bradford Hill tenets of causality for a medicinal product causing death. Our CDC, as of December 23rd, 2022, has over 16,000 Americans that have died within a few days of taking the vaccine. And that's probably a gross underreport.
Did you get that? And he said it's a under gross report. In other words, there's more. Because if you remember in 2020, what was happening when people were getting sick, that they claimed everybody, even in accidents, that they died of that COVID, even when in an accident. Yeah, that they were counting them in that number. Well, again, if you go back and you get this document, in fact, if you just go to 2030 agenda, you're going to see the 15-minute CDs. And then we discussed it, when was it? Was it Monday? When we discussed about the 100 CDs that have been approved?
Yes.
Go back to our video on Monday, and you're going to see the 100 cities, and you're going to see Los Angeles is in there, and this is part of the 2030 agenda. In other words, they have to wipe out these cities to start the 15-minute cities. And people yet don't believe it whenever it's all documented. I don't understand. It's here. They're telling us what they're going to do in order to succeed and have the 2030 agenda completed by 2030. So now they have to accelerate. Here we are, 2025. Everything has to be done within the 5-year period. And we're talking about the rebuild as well. Not just wiping a city out, but rebuilding and having it completed and having people in this system so they don't own nothing and be happy.
Well, and then, you think about, people right now in the mindset of, but here in a couple of days, next week, as a matter of fact, we're going to have a new leader, a new president. So this can't be happening. This isn't, that's why we say, you can't believe everything you see. You can't believe everything that you hear. There's always an agenda behind that. We cannot put our faith in man. It has to be in God. So, and especially if all of this is being said since 2015, and they have 5 more years.
This is a 2015 document, but there's older documents, even 2009, 1980s. You can go back and it goes further. It goes in the 70s of the documentation that they put what they're going to do. So let's go ahead and play the video.
We don't know if these vaccines will work. We don't know if they'll work to avoid deaths. We don't know if they'll work to avoid transmission. That's why we're working on so many first-generation vaccines.
How do we know if these vaccines are working?
You'd like it to be very safe in all the populations that you indicated for, no side effects. And then you'd like it to avoid the individual who gets the vaccine getting sick.
Okay, this is the guy that is pushing this as well. This is the guy that said we have to depopulate. Oh yeah, he's come out of his own mouth that we have too many people on the planet. This is the same guy that has created mosquitoes. Yeah, created mosquitoes to put malaria in people. Oh yeah, he's even said that. He's helped to put those mosquitoes in Florida. He's distributed them out there. They're out there. That's what he did. So, and then we are supposed to trust him?
We're supposed to take everything that he says, he's telling us the truth.
In fact, he's got patents. This is a guy that's supposed to be Microsoft. Remember, he's supposed to be the computer whiz. What is he doing with medicine? What is he doing with the jabs?
Right.
And in fact, he's got patents for those jabs. So let's go ahead and play it.
So where are the criminal charges going to first come? I think the easy ones to go after are illegal advertising. The vaccines have been advertised by the CDC, NIH, FDA, DHS, and the vaccine companies as safe and effective. Americans know they can't do that. The vaccines have to be presented with risks and benefits, including fatal myocarditis, blood clots, and neurologic damage. We haven't seen that on TV. That violates the Lanham Act, the Truth in Advertising Act, the U.S. Drug and Cosmetic Act. That is an easy conviction for wrongful advertising of all those entities. That means government entities being called for malfeasance or wrongdoing. And then beyond that, the big charges are fraud. America has been defrauded in so many aspects of pandemic response. Lives have been lost. And I think the big ticket item will be mass negligent homicide. It's tying together wrongful advertising, defrauding the country, and then leading to deaths due to lack of early treatment and then vaccine-induced deaths.
We didn't put the music on there. So just to let you know. Because I dislike that whenever people put music on there and you can't hear somebody talking. But the reason they do that is because copyright. That's just how it goes. We wanted to show you that. Why? Because moving forward, each and every one of us are responsible for our families, responsible for our kids. If we are going to allow them to get injected, for instance, in school, you see how they want them to have all these vaccines in them before they attend school, or when they go back to school, they need this extra one. If you haven't seen the number that has risen of how many jabs are required for a child now, it's ridiculous. It is bad. It's our job to ask questions. In fact, it's our responsibility to protect our families and protect our kids.
That's right.
We have to. We have to start questioning things. I know some people think that the fires in California it's an actual wildfire that actually naturally happened. They're trying to say that it was lightning. Some are saying that it was wind. Some are saying that it was a homeless person that started it. Go back and look at all the people that they arrested, and they are all illegals. Go back in history and you're going to see that is part of the agenda, that they were trained to take that out. I really want you to go look this up. Go get this, and you'll see that it's 2015. Look it up, and it shows you the plans for them to depopulate the people by 2025. And they're showing you that the jab was part of one of them, just one of them. There's other methods that they're using. Now, we're not showing this for you to get fearful. No, our hope is in Jesus.
That's right.
Our hope is in Jesus. But we are showing you for you to be aware of what is happening, so you're not deceived. So you're not saying, you know what, I'm going to believe everything that is being said. No, now that the documentation is out there, you've heard from several doctors right now that we just showed you on videos. Several doctors are already telling you, no, this is all wrong. We just explained to you that a nurse said, well, I'm just doing what I was trained to do. I didn't think of asking a question, even though it was an innocent from her part, that she wasn't doing something intentionally knowing that it was bad. She was just doing something because she was trained to do it.
Right.
That's why we have to ask questions. Our training, whatever training you get, whatever you're being taught, you need to ask questions. Why are we doing this? In fact, I taught my daughters, that's all I have is $3. I've taught them, ask questions. Don't just do what you're told to do. Find out why they want it done in that manner.
Right.
It's simple. I've always told them, don't follow the herd either. Because when you follow the herd, as we've seen so many times, the herd is always going in the wrong direction. you have to ask questions. You have to be aware in these times. It's about to get weird. It's about to get crazy.
Yes.
Things are about to move faster, but we are not supposed to be scared. We're supposed to just be prepared and ready as much as possible.
Well, and also, educate yourself, as into, if your child is going into school, the first thing, if you're not able to homeschool your child, or, whatever situation that is, or for whatever reason, something happens and you have to take your child to the emergency room. You have to take your child to the hospital, to a doctor. You have to educate yourself and see, what's going on right now. What are they going to throw at me, that, oh, well, you haven't done this, or your child needs to have that, well, that's where the questions need to be asked. Why? Why is it that now you're wanting them to do this, but yet, it's been many years that, why do we need all this stuff?
Another thing to keep in mind, they're wanting to inject the cattle with the jab since the people are not taking it. Oh yeah, I've talked to farmers and they're discussing that that's what they are trying to force on the farmers. In fact, they are paying some farmers extra money if they allow them to inject their cattle. So we don't purchase meat from the grocery store any longer. We purchase it from the actual farmer, and we've discussed it and asked these farmers, and these farmers that we are getting meat from tell us, nope, we don't inject our cattle. We refuse to inject our cattle. So if they understand that they don't want to put that in their cattle, why are we so quick to inject it in our own bodies?
Yeah. And it goes back to that saying, once you are knowledgeable and you have education on what it is that's going into your body, or what, people are trying to do to the food that you're, consuming, then it's like, you can't unsee that. You can't unknow what's actually happening out here. So you have to, just keep pushing forward and try to do the best that you can to bring that good food into your home. Grow your own food. You have to also look into how where the seed is coming from, that you're going to grow your own food. There's so much out there that you have to really pay attention and see.
Well, in fact, God said it best. He said, my people perish for the lack of knowledge.
That's right.
Just think about that. People are perishing because they have lack of knowledge. So, we are glad that you joined us today, and that's what we wanted to share with you. Not for you to get scared, but for you to be aware of what is happening out there. Because there's preachers out there, there's people out there teaching you that the wildfire in California and in Hawaii and the hurricane that happened in North Carolina, West Virginia, those areas was all natural. It's not. They discuss it here in their 2030 agenda of what they're going to do in order for them to succeed in their 2030 agenda, which it's weather manipulation as well. They have to destroy cities in order to do that. And I know it's hard to believe that people can be that evil. I know it is. But these people are evil. They're just downright evil. So let me finish on a good note. And if you can give me number 3. I thought this one was really cute. I thought it was neat. And I was actually telling my coworker about this one. He started laughing. He said, yeah, that would be a boy to do that. Oh, yeah. Isn't that awesome to see a little boy like that? He's like, this is the only time I can literally hit my dad and nothing's going bad happen to me. So, but you know, his dad's like, yeah, that little slap don't hurt. But he's like, wow, son, you really gave it all you got. And I'm over here just going like this.
And he gets up and he gets ready. I thought the funniest thing was his brother sitting
Watching.
there with, I guess it was their sister,
Yeah.
sitting there holding her, and he just could not
But
stop
but you know, his brother that was watching said, I'm next. 'Cause I have to slap dad too. So here you go. So guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being here. Again, our hope is in Jesus, not in man. We were foretold that things like this were going to happen in his word, that it was going to get crazy.
Yes.
So just prepare as best as you can.
Yes, yes. Want to remind you to put on your armor. You can find that in Ephesians 6:10 through 18. Very important to know and to understand how to do that. And there is our other platforms there that you can subscribe, you can join, and also share our content as well. There is our email there if you would like to get a hold of us. We thank you again for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you on the next video.